Tasty Tuesday loves, welcome to a taste of Lavina, Poetic, Empress, coming at you with the taste of Coach Josh Smalls. How are you guys doing tonight? Well, you know what's up. You know I like to get this party started with My Deepest Thoughts by Lavina, Expressions by Lavina, My Dirty Little Secret, and Emotional, My Latest Baby. All four books are available on Amazon. My guest is here. Let me get him in the building. Thank you, Brian. How are you doing tonight? Thank you for joining. You, ladies and gentlemen, who have come into the building, I appreciate it. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a taste of Lavina, Poetic, Empress, coming at you with a taste of Coach Josh Smalls. How are you doing?
It has been a day. It has been one hell of a day. I'm going to tell you that right now.
Well, welcome to the show.
Yeah, I'm in my garage because I just wanted to get out of the house. So I'm in the garage.
Right.
That's what it is.
Listen, I'm glad you got to come on here today.
Yeah,
So,
I think I watched this show several times. I think I got wind of it when my brother, Mr. Witz, was on.
yes, Mr.
First
Witz
time.
did come through.
Yeah.
Yes, I appreciate that. Well, let me introduce you, tell people a little bit about who you are. Ladies and gentlemen, Coach Josh Smalls is from Brooklyn, New York. He is an award-winning poet. He is the author of 5 published books, and he is the father of 4. He is a creative writing coach and a full-time poet for the last 9 years. Congrats on that. So let's get started with Mr. Ja. Why did you start writing?
That's a great question. Writing kind of found me, right? Because when I was young, well, my mom wrote poetry and my uncle wrote poetry. They still write. And so my uncle is a very known poet in New York City. He's also in one of the national poetry books as well. His name is Chester Chess Smalls. And so they wrote poetry all the time. And, something happened with me in watching the ink pen glide across the paper.
That's
And
what's
I just fell in love with just wanting to write. And I didn't know poetry would find me. And, before I know it, poems were just coming. They were just there. It was just this thing, you know what I mean? And so it happened at a very young age. And I can't even begin to tell you, how that really happened. It just happened. It found me because I surely wasn't looking for it.
I can understand that because neither was I. But so I can relate to that. Now, how did you come about your name, Coach Josh Smalls?
Very good question. And so when I was young, one of my cousins who formerly was known, his mother named him Thomas Jefferson. And he had passed away now, but he's probably as dark as 3 days ago. And so with being that dark skin, with your name Thomas Jefferson didn't fit for him when he really started to study African culture and things like that. And so he changed his name to Jahi, which means dignity. And it was from then that I adopted Jahi, and my brothers always called me Ja. So I went by Ja for like forever. And then when I did coach basketball and stuff like that. I was a coach then, and they called me coach. But Coach Josh Smalls really didn't take form until I started doing workshops and things like that. And I started coaching other poets, and I gave my own slam poetry team. And so I was actually really a slam poetry coach at that point in time. And so Coach Ja was all it was, and it just kind of meshed.
Okay, that's what's up. Now, you said you coach people. You have a creative writing platform.
Yeah.
Okay, and where can people find you with that?
And so my website is up. I'm still adding stuff to it, but all the folks who are interested in one-on-one coaching or want to take part, I started, let me say this, organizations pay me good money to do workshops. They pay me good money to coach and do performances. So during the pandemic, what I did during the pandemic, I was doing really, really cheap classes. And a lot of poets that you probably met have now authored their books. A lot of them that are come through the same channel. Mainly people who are part of the Ain't Right tribe, I'll say that. They have taken my classes. In fact, I have, and you know, this is I have a bunch of poets' books around me, right? Because I advise you about books. But one of the poets that was in my class, Blood Brother Mike, I have his book sitting right here on my desk because I'm reading his book now. And so he had taken my class, and the foreword in it was written by Mr. Moody Black. And Moody Black wrote in the foreword that he had watched his writing grow from the point that he started taking my classes. And so I started doing those classes then, and everybody was wanting me to do it back. Well, now that the world is open back up again, I can't expect the organization to pay me big money if I'm charging people little bits of money. And so what I decided to do was, instead of doing the workshops that I know some people can't afford, I started doing a writing session, which people are coming in and doing a writing session with me. And so they get not necessarily a workshop, but we'll get writing prompts and talk about it and discuss it. So they'll still get the format somewhat with me in the classroom. So I started doing that. And actually, Saturday was supposed to be supposed to be every first Saturday of the month. But I had an emergency at the house. The smoke alarms went off. It said carbon monoxide, and we had to run out and all this stuff. So I'm going to reboot it back. I'm going to do a special one this month and then start again at the beginning of the month. And so anybody who's interested in that, DM me and I'll get you all the information and how we do it. It's going to be on Zoom so people can do it wherever they are. It's 12 p.m. Eastern time. And it's 12 p.m., not a.m. Don't get me at a.m. Don't be looking for me.
I know that's right. Now tell me a little bit about Miss Grandmom Boys.
So Granny's Boys.
The Granny Boys.
Right.
Forgive me.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
Now, how did that come about? And who are the Granny Boys?
Okay, so I have 7 siblings, right? So I have 5 brothers and 2 sisters. And so my brothers and I all are either poets or MCs. It's one or the other, or both, right? And so initially, and true story is when I saw when reality TV was starting to really pick up and they had a whole reality TV channel, it was looking for content. I told my brothers, I said, listen, if you follow me, I'm going to get us on a reality TV show. I said, nobody has our story coming from my trauma to now. Nobody has that story. I said, so just do this one thing. Well, only 2 of us kept it going. That's me and Mr. Witz. The other ones, and these are all my biological brothers, right? These are not like, you know, we don't halves and all that. We all lived in the same home. And so we decided to get together and we said, well, we're going to call it Granny's Boys. Now, Granny is the name that they gave my mother, who you hear me refer to her as Umi, because Umi means mother in Arabic. And Umi was coming through the park one day, and Mr. Witz and some other folks was there, and it was like, look at mommy coming through the park looking like a granny. And they gave her the name Granny. And this was before we even started this journey. And so that's how we took the name Granny. Because whatever we do, we're always representing our mom, because she's been through so much. And it's personal. It's extra personal for me because when my mother was she had me when she was 8. She had just turned 19. So I'm born 10 days before her birthday. So on her 19th birthday, I was born 10 days before her 19th birthday. And so when she was 8 months pregnant, it was either 7 or 8 months pregnant, she had a Alvin Ailey scholarship in this hand, and she had her other hand on her womb. And they told her she had a decision to make. She's going to either be a mother or she's going to be a dancer. Obviously, she chose me over that career. And so for me, you know, having her picture on my first book, having her name in a lot of poems that I write, that's my way of giving back to her, because her sacrifice is the only reason why I allow some of these things to happen.
Yes, that was a great sacrifice, because that dance company is off the chain.
Listen.
So thank you, Mother.
Right.
For choosing life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's awesome. So you had no choice but to come to Earth and do some phenomenal things.
Listen, they say our ancestors teach that we choose our parents. And so I chose a professional boxer
Mhm.
and I chose a professional dancer to be
That's what's
my parents. And so for me, some sort of you know what I mean? Like there was some sort of special stardom, if you would, that was supposed to come from that because they both had great careers.
exactly greatness in you. Greatness comes from greatness, you know?
Yeah.
So that creativity is flowing through you
Mm-hmm.
because all outward expressions, like all art forms,
Mm-hmm.
they're expressing inward emotions, and to be able to express that, like I said, through dance, everything is powerful. Words and movement
Mm-hmm.
is powerful. The statement it makes, and then the different techniques they can do with dancing
Mm-hmm.
is just phenomenal. And then to be a boxer, it takes more than just getting in the ring and throwing a putt. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
you it's a lot more to a lot more to boxing than just throwing a punch.
Yeah.
So
And not
yes.
only that, so my dad is or he's a southpaw. So
Mhm.
he's a lefty, but he fought traditional with his right as a righty. And
Oh,
he's
that's good.
still
He's using both sides of the brain. That's what's
right,
up.
right, right.
He's
And
a
so
vet.
he still had a championship fight. I saw my dad boxing Madison Square Garden. I don't. You're probably not old enough to know ABC Wide World of Sports, but I saw my dad boxing on that.
Mhm.
Yeah. So I mean, I was back in when my dad was getting taped up in Madison Square Garden. And I'm like,
Wow.
what? You know what I mean? So yeah.
That is awesome. It sounds like you had a pretty good childhood and upbringing,
Whew.
you know. So
That's probably why I write so well. I think because of that
you,
childhood.
exactly. I'm telling you, but you know, it's good to meet people who've had good, you know, childhoods because I think back on mine and you know, me and my sister who's a year older than me because we also have four siblings who's older than us.
Mm,
So we had a really nice, you know, childhood, you know. Um, and when I say a nice childhood, I'm not talking about the financial part of it. I'm talking about good times, that relationship and spending time and going places and hanging out and
mm-hmm.
you know that those kind of things because that's what's really important, the relationships and the time that's spent and what our parents introduce us to
Mm-hmm.
and things of that nature. So that's awesome, you
Yeah.
know, for you to partake of those things. Now, Mr. Coach Josh Smalls, would you please give us a taste of you?
And so I actually was writing a poem just a few minutes ago. So let me read that because I really like it. I think it's going where I want it. So let's just see how it works.
Okay.
There are times when nothing makes sense. Everything you once knew finally expired or found a home that no longer looks familiar. And it's not every day you meet a superhero. Even when others tell you that a superhero is living directly in your mirror, it's like my lenses don't work. Or maybe Father Time has a cataract I've not noticed yet. I hate feeling empty, cut short of the glory line most people dream about. But when you reach my age, and sleep doesn't come visit often, and dreams find a way to disregard anything that makes you smile, so I diagnose myself every day. Spend portions of the day trying to find new words for broken, hopeless, left out. If pillows could talk, they'll
Mm,
tell you how I missed hugs, the ones I never got from my sons. Sharing father and son laughs at their mother's expense. Life never promises sweet water, but acid rain will call you like changing seasons as
mm,
often as possible. So I drown myself in my daughter's smiles. And each time we laugh, and every morning I look at my son's text messages. I hope he and his lady are smiling, finding a happy place I've been missing for so long. I'm trying to learn grandparenting while embracing fatherhood. And at the same time, I'm trying to center block those memories of lost promises I couldn't keep. I never knew manhood would be this tough. Replaying Umi begging me to stay far from those streets, watch the depths of my 20, I would hate to see my report card. Not sure heaven ever called me by my first name. I wonder why people stress about the afterlife, especially when every moment already presents a question mark or missed opportunities. My days usually hold a white flag in one hand and an I dare you sign in the other. It's like the blue pill, because this red one won't match your skin color. I suppose other men feel this way. Rocks and sand claiming ownership of their Adam's apple, praying for things others normally expect to find their address. I won't claim to be a spokesperson for all fathers or for black men. American born, those tainted with post-traumatic slave disorders, but I know color well. It's funny how my favorite color happened to decorate the last 30 years of my life. Since that day, I've used to pray that normal shook my hand, offered me an option that didn't remember my birthplace, or have red, white, and black man blues in its end of my speech. I would like to say I've got this shit together. Found that ribbon in the sky that it's sometimes afraid to look at. I would honestly like to say it, but most times, all I can do is poem.
You know, you pull on people's heartstrings.
Do I?
Yeah. The first time I heard you speak, I was like, wow. And I don't know if you speak from, because some people don't speak from their life experiences, and some poets do. Mm-hmm. But yours seem to come from your heart, I would say. Yeah. And you don't really get to see that. It's like that's what you've done. You've opened it up to us, and you're allowing us to look inside. It's more than transparency. It's like we can go ahead and reach out and touch it.
Go ahead.
So I think that's awesome, to not just be able to write that way, but to deliver it in such a passionate way without screaming or hollering, just letting your heart speak. I think that's awesome.
Yeah. I'm glad you feel that way. I try my writing. I don't know how to write dishonestly. You know what I mean? So even when I write poems about Trayvon and George Floyd, I didn't write George Floyd's poem until this year. I just couldn't. I didn't even watch the video until this year, right? Mm-hmm. Except what they show, and I'm like, I'm out of here. And the reason being is because I can't write from a dishonest place, because I don't feel like, I'll give you another story too, but I don't feel like my words should be a lie, right? Even if I make it bigger, it should still be the truth. So I can say I'm walking down the street and I'm tired as hell, but say it so grand that it's like, wow, I can feel it. And I think that's always been my issue with erotic poetry, because we know what it is, right? So write it so that I want the fantasy of it. Like, nobody just wants to have regular sex, right? Everybody wants their mind blown. So write it to blow my mind rather than to, give me this quickie in the closet. Even though that's cool sometimes, right? Nothing wrong with it. But that's how I see my writing. Like, I don't want to write the simple. And if it is simple, the follow-up doesn't allow it to say simple, So that's how I challenge my people in my classes.
Okay. Apologies for tearing up.
Are you okay?
Yes. And it's not you. It's about when you was talking about, George Floyd, how you didn't write the poem until this year. My question is, how do you feel about, I think white America is waking up to what's going on. I thank God for that. And that they're stepping up and speaking out. But bringing old videos and things of that nature. Because I saw a post today that just, I was like, we don't want to go, I don't want my mind to be taken back to that, especially dealing with what is today. So it's like, what do we say to people to make them understand we've suffered so much. And this is another reason I don't really get into, because it hurts.
Yeah.
And that's something we want. We want the pain and the trauma to stop. So we don't want to be constantly reminded of what it was. Let's deal with this so we don't have to keep dealing with yesterdays.
Well, let me say this, and I'm going to say I religiously watch Roots and the old and the new one, right? I never watched 12 Years a Slave, but I watch these things as a reminder. But here's what has happened, right? Part of why white America is waking up is because their children are coming over to black people. That's number one. And they're having all these mixed babies, and their lifeline as far as the Caucasian race, the expectancy is really okay. And then the next part of that is they're being confronted with the visuals that they pretend didn't exist. Oh, I don't see it, so it can't be. And so as hard as it is, on my Facebook page, if anybody follows me on Facebook, I pinned up something from a movie. I forgot which movie it is, but I constantly put those images there for two reasons. We need to be reminded as black people now, first, we need to be reminded of what they went through for us to be able to do whatever we're doing now, right? Because it seems like we forgot. But more importantly, we need to keep it on the forefront of their tongues, because if not, just like with things that are happening, is being swept under the rug. Do I think Chauvin deserved 20 years? He should have got more because he's a police officer. Okay? But if we don't keep this on their tongues, and the people in position they're not allowed to feel those pains because they're in a position. So I got to keep my emotions out, but you can't. Emotions don't stop when you can see it. And so, yes, it's heart-wrenching. It's heart-wrenching, but we cannot stop. We have to remember that there was two people, age ranges, that kept us going. It wasn't the middle age. It was the elderly and it was the young. And they were pushing and they were pushing and they were pushing and they were pushing. The elderly were the ones that was getting whooped and bitten by dogs and having to watch across the what's his Edmund Pettus Bridge, when that bridge is named after the Grand Dragon of the Ku Klux Klan, and we don't even know this stuff, and that they wrote it in law that you can't change the name. So we have to keep this on their tongues, because if not, they need to see it more than we do. We need to remind this too, right? We need to remind this, but it has to be there so that they continue. It's a very slow process, but I want people to remember that the process is moving. We just got to keep playing our part, and we're playing it in groups. Poke an eye out, but the whole fist will close the eyeball. Once we realize that, it will be a much speedier process. So we have to, as hard as it is, we have to keep it on the forefront. We have to, and believe me, it's hard. I know, and you know, right? But it's what we have to do. Which we have the ability to make it. The reminders happen regularly, and we have to. I do it all the time. In fact, what I love about my work now is that more non-black people pay me to come to their shows than black people. And I'm in front of a sea of faces that are not black faces. And we're sprinkled in, but a sea of faces that are not black faces. And I do the same poems I do because I want y'all to remember, listen, I grew up this way. I've seen this. I've heard that. When my family grew, we grew up in the Nation of Islam. We grew up, my dad did security for Malcolm. So I've seen some things and heard stories that people wouldn't even believe. So I want people to always remember, listen, there's some stuff you haven't heard yet, but you're going to get this today. you know.
That's what's up. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I guess I just needed to release that because
Yeah.
it's been wearing on me. I'm like, come on.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like you said, and I know change is happening. It's happening slow,
Mm-hmm.
but thank God it's happening.
Thank God it's happening.
You know?
Yeah.
Now, with that being said, can we get another taste of Coach Dow Smalls, please?
Yeah, maybe I should do. Should I do George? George is not what you think it is. That's why I think I'm gonna do George.
Okay.
Because it's not. What I learned about my writing in UC is that I try not to give people what they're expecting.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want you to expect what's coming. I always want it to be, oh wow, I didn't see that coming. Because other than that, even my I'll tell you what. Let's not do George first. Let's do Mamie Till first. We'll do Mamie Till. She was against this vacation. Had her mind set on keeping her belongings safe. Never wanted her flowers out of her sight. Her God-given blessings beyond the sound of her voice. Still, agreements were made, and bloodlines promised to make his stay absolutely unforgettable. It was a day like no other. Her smile matched today's forecast. It was perfect. The sun in its normal space. No one could have known. No one could imagine how a teenage innocent could find spoil. Who would believe that Elm Street moved to the South? Wrapped itself in a heartbeat of racial slurs and another Negro out of his place. We thought we were all Americans. Never knew citizenship had limits or came with rules. I can't imagine how his heart paced, how it ran from his chest, seeing grown men forget that they were grown men, but it was black men bowing to what they call real Americans. Complexion safe, government protected. You know the kind, whitewashed and plantation scented. I bet his hands lost their feelings. Fingers statued themselves at his side, lost their purpose. Tongue probably swallowed a land full of beach sand. I always wondered if he prayed and cried and asked God for just 2 more minutes. And how long did he look for God's face, stare at the back of God's head? One thing is for sure on that day, God was busy. Didn't hear her son at the mercy of those American men. I'm so glad I learned evil speaks good English early. The King's language. Learn evil spelled backwards, must say American, anti-black, have the N-word at the tip of his tongue, clasped at the roof of American mouths. How many times did she dread this trip? Hate that she let her baby boy go. Hate that she trusted family to nurture the only thing they could never replace. She probably chokes every time she says yes or hear his name. Flinches every time the phone rings after 9 p.m. when the screen door squeaks. I couldn't imagine such a trip. The moment she blamed herself for allowing her mouth to refuse what her spirit already felt. Imagine how that train stop plagued her day, kept her awake at night. Can you imagine that hug right before he left? The blouse she regrets she washed because his scent kept her nostrils flaring. I bet her breath changed on that day. Heart forgot its own rhythm, its purpose. I bet it sped up every time she hears Bobo, son, Emmett. You know, oft times, I wonder if she knew the South already called him, had his name tattooed in their language. You see, I can't imagine if she ever walked the same. I bet you Mamie Till never whistled again.
Wow.
Yeah, you know, a lot of times we don't talk about what she had to go through. We just talk about, you know, and we don't think about, you know, what she has to live through, right? What her day looks like. And
Exactly.
so, you know, as parents, as siblings who babysat siblings, right? It gives a different aspect to what that was. You know, I have poems that I write about. I was gunned down at 19, and I have poems written about how my family might have to, you know what I mean, how they had to get along after that. And
You were gunned down at 19?
yeah, I was also a DJ. I used to DJ, had my own equipment, DJ equipment, and some people I knew, a year, one was a year younger than me, one was a 2 or 3 years younger than I. They was on drugs, and they came to my house and wanted to rob me for my equipment and shot me up in my hallway. And so yeah, hmm
Wow. Thank God you're here.
yeah. Thank you. And so I tell people all the time, you never, you know, I'm learning to not be as aggravated with people driving because you don't know what is going on with them in the moment, you know? And that's in general, and people that walk down the street and might bump you and you don't know what is happening in their life,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I think like that also. And I go out my way to speak to people
Hmm.
who people seem to think that are invisible, homeless people, janitors, things of that
Right,
nature.
right, right.
I'm like, these people, they exist just because they don't do what you do. They still have feelings. They still want somebody to just look at them also and smile. Because
Yeah.
just a smile, you know, makes people feel good.
Hmm.
You know, so, yeah,
That's one of
that's.
the things I love is talking to homeless people. I've done that since I was a teenager. I love it. I loved it.
Mhm.
That's how I
Yeah,
found out so many of them were in the military.
right,
Those
right.
conversations. Yeah.
Yeah, that shell shock that's called, that's that is seriousness because I lived over top of a man who was diagnosed with that, and the slightest noise would set him off. You know,
Yeah.
it was
Yeah.
just sad. And eventually, the manager of the apartment complex, she suggested he might want to buy a house because living in an or to go to the third floor
Mhm.
because living on top of somebody, you're gonna always hear something. But I just felt so bad for him, having to deal with that. Yeah, that stuff is real, and the
My,
fact that
go ahead, I'm
you
sorry.
don't have anything to really, I mean, because no one wants to go around medicated all the time, as being zombified. So,
I have been challenged with PTSD um, from me being gunned down, you know, and I tell people all the time, I can't explain how it feels to wake up and have pain and realize somebody actually tried to assassinate you, right? Somebody tried to kill me. You know, there's a bullet hole here. I still have a bullet in my jawbone. This bullet went from here to here. And so I had two in the back and one in the stomach. And so I'm never without pain, number one, right? And then I try to tell people all the time. It's like when I finally went to therapy, my therapist said, you know, your cup is already full when you wake up in the morning, so you don't have a lot of space for a lot of things to not go in a way that you can balance. And when I really thought about that, I thought about the veterans. I thought about those folks who were fighting for their lives and running and bullets zipping past them and then watching their partners that's right next to them gunned down right there. And it's like, how do you begin to explain it? You can't. They can't. They're so shell shocked they can't even begin to talk about it. And so part of what my journey is with the military book that we have, the series we have, is actually going in and helping them write about some of these things. And so, but not write about, oh, I saw my friend's head get blown off, unless
mm-mm,
that's what he's willing to say or able to say. And we
mm,
try to force them to say what they're not ready to say. And
Exactly.
that's some, oh, I can go on for days about that because that has me someplace else. But I understand the dynamics of PTSD because I'm challenged with it, even though I can't possibly understand the magnitude of someone who's been at war,
Yes.
you know?
Yes. Yeah. And
Yeah.
I get that. I remember the first time I went to the gun range, and I wasn't even in. There's a room before you go into the actual room where you put your
Mm-hmm.
coats and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I was in there freaking out. I was like, wait a minute. So, like you said, being in the actual war zone,
Mm-hmm.
you being really faced with that and experiencing that, I don't even want to know. I mean, when I say that, not, I'm saying I can't imagine and I don't want to,
Yeah.
because that going into a gun range frightened me. So being in an all out shootout,
Yeah.
that's, that,
That's
exactly. It's like you literally have to, for war, I'm sure they had to go into a mindset, a place in their mind where it was just straight survival mode and
mm-hmm.
fight mode. And that's not good either, because I'm sure blood pressure and that it's something, I think cortisone or something, where it's too high, it's too much going on in the body.
Mm-hmm.
That's not healthy for the body and
No.
stuff. So thank God that have gone made it through that, and that you're hopefully every day it's better than the last.
It's always a challenge. I spent 31 years, and it's always a challenge. And but I tell people, but let's look at this for a second, right? When there are, I know that this is a fact for Desert Storm. I know this is a fact from Vietnam to Desert Storm, especially
Mhm.
Vietnam. You
Mhm.
had uh, uh, people who come out of basic training and was
Mhm.
dropped right into a hot LZ, a hot landing zone, which
Wow.
means that they were dropped in the middle of war. A hot LZ means they're taking fire. And so they're coming out of basic training and being shipped to Vietnam, and they're dropped right in, bullets flying from both directions. Imagine that,
Mm-mm.
okay?
Mm-mm.
And I would not have known this had I not had these conversations. I didn't know what a hot LZ was. I'm like, what is an LZ? And it's a
Yeah.
hot landing zone, which means they're taking fire. And you just came out of basic training, which means you got in basic training. So
Mm.
you wonder why you have, and here's what we don't look at. We don't look at those men from basic training who fathered children with
Right.
those traumas that were never addressed, spoken about, or anything. And so we're judging men and women based on facts that we don't know and have never been studied or researched.
Right. And then they come home and don't get treated right. Don't get the first of all, they should be living for free.
They should be living for free. And
That
they have to pay for their own
period.
insurance.
Shouldn't have to do that.
They don't have
It
to.
just should be free. Everything should just be free.
It should be free. It should be free. It should be free.
Yeah.
So when I tell folks all the time that we wrote me, my brother, Mr. Witz, and AJ. I think you know AJ too. And we wrote our first edition of Trigger Warnings, which is a
Mm-hmm.
book of poetry about the military. And we
Mm-hmm.
tell people all the time, I don't want you to book me to come to your city. I want you to get in touch with your museum folks and let us bring the whole movement there for the military. I have other books, other things I can sell, but this is a certain kind of movement that we're looking at doing now, because those folks are hurting in ways that we can. If we're struggling and we call ourselves normal,
Come
imagine,
on.
imagine.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Well, I'm gonna just to lighten it up a little bit,
Okay.
because I always ask 3 questions pertaining to my 3 books. I want one of your deepest thoughts, one of your favorite expressions, and one of your dirty little secrets.
Oh,
And your
woo.
dirty little secret, being so you was talking about erotic, you can spit something on that, or well, no, but
I,
no, but give me one of your deepest thoughts, please.
so one of my deepest thoughts. That's a very interesting question because as of lately, my journey has been really looking at the transatlantic slave trade and thinking about the mindset of, let's just say, Kunta Kinte, because everybody's familiar with that figure,
Mm-hmm.
right? Imagine his trip. I'd
Mm,
like to go into his mind and watch it race in those moments and try to calculate what those brainwaves are saying. And I
mm,
know this is how my mind works. I
mm,
want to write to his brainwaves during that process, being captured, being on the ship, and then
mm,
feeding you cornmeal and you wiping it off of some stranger's face and trying to eat it. And
mm,
you're laying next to a dead body, and this guy's defecating on you. And
mm,
you're laying in the bed with somebody already spilled themselves and soured themselves there, and it's your turn now,
mm.
right? How does your brain speak to you in that? So that's the kind of thinking I'm on with deep thinking at this. That's where I'm at now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's some deep thinking. I'm gonna tell you, I used to praise dance
Okay.
when I was in my 20s, and we, the choreographer, she put together this um, dance for a piece that we were doing as women that were coming across the ocean on the ship. Don't ask me what the name of the song was, or
Mm-hmm.
it was a
Mm-hmm.
long time ago, but I can tell you it was a traumatic experience. For by the time we finished dancing, and we did it at the African Festival in
Mm-hmm.
Wilmington, all of us was crying.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
was like we connected to our ancestors. So I'm gonna tell you, you know, the spirit realm and the natural realm, it really is connected because I had that experience
Yeah.
and I was just like,
Yeah.
so I still to go through that, I still wouldn't, you know what I mean? It's I think that because of the pain for me when I get hurt, I get angry. So that's why I guard my heart
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to things of that nature because I for me to know how they really felt, it wouldn't be well.
Yeah. Yeah.
I wouldn't do well with that.
Gotcha.
It
Yeah.
wouldn't be good for me. You understand what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
So so that's why that's what I do. I guard my heart. And I was caught off guard
Mm-hmm.
with the post I seen. I was like, why did I even you
Uh,
know what I mean?
yeah. Yeah.
And it just and I had to learn that because when I was younger, my tongue was not used for love and building up and encouraging people and whatnot. I used it for just the opposite. And then I didn't know. I used it. I build people now, but I tore people down
Wow. Wow.
and would fight
Wow.
and did end up fighting someone of a different color because she came at me. So nah, I'm like,
We're gonna have to do something about this. Yeah. Yeah. I get it. I get
yeah,
it.
yeah. But okay, your favorite expression.
I don't know
Something you
because
always say. Something you always say.
something
Something you
I
always tell
always
people.
say. Um, I'm always it's a few things. I'm always saying things like you feel me, or I'm always saying, check this out. And check this out has so many different levels, right? And check this out can mean the difference between I'm gonna tell you a great story
Hmm.
or I'm going to left hook you. So check this out. Has a very wide range and it's very, yeah, yeah.
Right, right. That's probably Mr. Witz putting up 100 and fire up on the screen when you said
He
it
would
could be
know.
a your great store or a great kitchen.
He would know because we we bump heads in such a loving way all the time, and then we try to act like we mad at each other and don't call each other for the day. And it don't happen. We end up calling each other or texting something stupid. What you doing? So it's like it's. I don't know if all brothers do that, but it's
Mm-hmm.
like we in a relationship. Like we husband and wife. You ain't gonna talk, and then I need to get something from you, so I'm gonna say just whatever just to get you to comment. So
Hello, hello, hello. That's all siblings, brothers and sisters.
that is funny. Yeah. I don't know.
I get it.
I
I
don't,
get it. Okay, now give me one of those dirty little secrets.
a dirty little secret.
Excuse me.
How about I just read a poem?
Ladies and gentlemen who just joined, welcome to a taste of Lavina, Poetic, Empress, coming at you with a taste of Coach Josh Smalls, with a taste of erotic.
tonight, we worship. Let us pray. Speak to the Creator, anticipating what's next to come. You or me, we find it sacred time to speak to a higher power. I've got secrets to share, questions to ask. You've got holes that need to be filled. So, lady, can I worship you? Part your holiness and indulge in what the Lord has created. Want to bury my taste buds in your untold secrets. Guide you to the promised land where you're sent on my canvas like it's my favorite cologne. I've got songs with your name on it. Lyrics that call your wanting. A poem that says, make love to me till the oceans find a way to silence themselves. See, I want to write you in free verse, haiku, sonnet, poems that Songs of Solomon made forbidden. I've got odes to wrap you around like my cock ring. Tell me you're hungry. Keep your eyes open while I bust it wide open. I'm going to masterpiece you from the ceiling. Picture your silhouette dancing to candlelights. Come on my bedroom. Clap that full moon with your name on it. Hips to the sky singing. Midnight at the oasis, and every time you spread for me, lady, the gods would smile. The angels would turn every Luke song into gospel music, and we make Negro spirituals from this lovemaking. Calling on the Oshun as creation splits tasks with Moses, and my rod be your staff. So let me usher you to this altar. Become your comforter. Grace my feastings with your name on my tongue. Lady, can I poem in your mouth? Let us, every syllable of this being, cover me like the Holy Spirit. I am going to shout as our worlds collide. And this, while these stars make love before the sun begins its new smile. When the moon exposes her nakedness before the entire universe, I promise to meet you in bliss. Making pillows of the clouds that no one else can touch, from the dark of the night to the birthing of the new morning. We will lose ourselves answering every intimate pleasure you've been yearning for. But first, we should start with a kiss, and I promise we will end with a prayer.
So nice, you what? That was tastefully tasty. I like that very much. That was a nice, dirty little secret.
You see? I just
Now,
right, like I want to make it dreamy for you. I don't want to make it, I want you to
it was dreamy. I told you, you pull on the, she be like, okay, what do you want to do? Okay, wait a minute. Okay. Oh, okay. Wait a minute. Let me get myself together. Okay.
Oh wow.
So please say hello to some of the guests that are in the audience. One on poetry, Mr. William Washington. Thank you for joining, Mr. Witts. Hello, Mr. Witts, the poet. How are you? Black Butterfly, Carla Jean. And there's a few other people. There's more people in here. Let me see if I can call a few more names. Oh, wait. Okay, you're gonna have to look on your screen to see and
Okay.
say, give some shout outs. Give some shout
Let me see
outs.
who's in here. So shout out, oh, everybody here. The Poet Rose Gold is in here. Fishnet Poetry. Okay. Carla
Mm-hmm.
Jean.
Yes,
Whispered Word. But listen, thank y'all so much for tuning in. Uh-oh, my
yes,
screen just froze a
yes.
little bit. Let me get out here before I mess up. Thank y'all. Listen, everyone who's in here, thank y'all so much for coming and chilling and hanging with us. It's so far so good. It's been amazing here.
Are
You
you know,
learn stuff about yourself the more you talk about yourself.
huh?
I said you learn more about yourself the more you talk about yourself. And so
Yes,
I think,
indeed.
yeah, it's always a learning moment.
Mm-hmm. And I must confess that I'm really flying off the cuff here tonight because I didn't usually I have a list of questions. And I had to go out today. And usually I'll do it either Monday night or early in the day, but I've just been busy and
Got you.
I couldn't. So
I,
I was
I'm,
just like,
I'm
I
trying to
was
think
like,
what those abbreviation is for. Do you see that?
Carly Jean, what does that mean? WNU. What does that mean, love? Oh, Fishnet the Stalker says she loves us both. Thank you. We
Yeah,
appreciate
appreciate that. Yeah.
it. But Miss Carla Jean, what does I don't know what that means.
Yeah, man. Let's make it plain because that must be a poem, and I ain't.
It must be a poem. It must be something
Yeah.
she I don't know. I guess she'll share with us.
Oh,
Oh, wait a minute. She said, hello. You did it wrong. Baby, what's it supposed to say?
yeah, yeah. Who? Oh, from Mr. Witts. From Mr. Witts. That's right. So he can't say it no more because they keep flagging him. So there you go. How did I
No.
miss?
Oh.
How did I miss that?
Oh.
I'm
Why
not
did
used to him using it.
he doesn't mean nude. He means transparent, your heart, who's
Right.
real, who's being truthful, you
Right.
know?
Right.
Oh, that's a
Yeah.
shame.
They flagged him several times. He lost his account. Then it got hacked, and I was like, ah,
Wow.
yeah,
Yeah, that's not good.
yeah. That's the worst.
That's not good.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. I had another so you've been doing this for 9 years.
9 years professionally. Yes.
That is awesome. I surely congratulations
Thank you.
because
Thank you.
now is that all you do? I mean, as far as like it's just the whole poetry thing, like you
Yeah.
don't do it side.
That is my life at this point. So, I was disabled. I had an on-the-job injury in 2011, I think it was, and then they disabled me out of work in 2012, and then we just started from there. And so we used to promote reggae dancehall parties and bring and different DJs from New York down this way and bring artists from the islands here to come perform. And
Mhm.
it was just time for something new, something grown, you know. And
Right.
you can't be in the club all your life, you know.
Exactly.
And it's funny because even though I was in the club, that was work for me. And people be like, I could have been a hoe if I wasn't busy. Let's put it like that. But I believe if you know when you're working, and it's just that. And so I'm all over my spot. I'm never just sitting chilling. And so I had a
Right.
lot of people like, I was trying to get your attention, but you always too busy. Listen, this is work for me.
People think it's easy doing what you do. Running a business is, like you said, hard work.
Yeah.
It takes dedication.
Hmm.
Because when you don't feel like it, guess what? It doesn't matter. You
That's
still
right.
got to do what you got to do, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
So, wow. Because I've been saying I'm going to get to. You guys are you guys in Charlotte or
Yeah,
North Carolina?
yeah.
Charlotte.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I'm going to get to Charlotte because, and I've been seeing that since I started writing poetry because I knew Charlotte and Atlanta
Uh-huh.
um, are places where poetry is off the chain.
Yeah.
So I said, I'm going to make it down there
Yeah.
to Charlotte so I can come to you guys, open mic, and do a little something, something, you know. So it's going to happen. I'm just, one thing I do know is that when I put my mind to it,
Mm-hmm.
it, it, it manifests.
Where you located now?
I'm in Delaware.
Delaware. It's
Yeah.
rough up in Delaware. It is rough up in Delaware.
So, yeah, I've been to Philadelphia.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
You just rough. You just live in all the rough areas. Philly ain't no walk in the park either. Don't.
I know. And it's funny because I like hanging out in Philly. Oh my God. South Philly. Oh, even up by University City in Philadelphia, downtown, because downtown Voices in Power, they have an open mic they hold in the mall,
Okay.
in the gallery
Uh-huh.
in Philadelphia. They but it's hard because I wanted to do a show in Philly. I'm like, it, I gotta find out. Like, I hang out in Philly, but I don't hang out where I know where it's really good or safe because I'm taking into consideration parking.
Mm-hmm.
I need the area to be well lit and
Yeah.
all that stuff. But in any case, I'm gonna get to Charlotte.
Come on, let us know when you're coming. I got a few things. That's Wits has his Wednesdays. I'm going to start a Saturday, one Saturday a month, and I'm a resident artist out this way too. I have a residency, so I got my own space, and I'm going to do some things in there. I'm actually waiting for some stuff to come out so I can finally do my art exhibit. So I do artwork too.
That's what's up.
I should have had my shirt on, but I don't.
You
I do.
so you wait, so you draw?
No, I'll show you. I do things like this.
Oh, still, yeah, that's hot.
Yeah, and so I put them on. I put them on shirts too. So I have my own images of me.
Mm-hmm.
And so
Mm-hmm.
those collages are poems in them. So the word collage would be a poem, and then my art exhibit will be that. It'll be an image with the poem is big poster size, and then like in the museum, it'll have the poem written out next to it. And I'll have them around me, and I'll be sitting at my on my stool, my mic, and delivering my pieces at them.
Doing your thing.
Yeah.
That's what's up. That's real fun. I like that. I might have to bite that. Be at my show with all my pictures behind me.
I have.
Talk about this. I stole this from Coach Josh Small. And Mr. Witt, I'm coming. Just give me a minute. I'm coming.
Yes, Poet Rose Gold actually bought the Jimi Hendrix shirt for me and the Prince shirt. I don't know if I have.
Oh, that's what's up.
Yeah, they came out great. They came out great.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
Now, can I ask how much are your shirts?
So my shirts are $40. My shirts are $40. They're $40. Right. They should be more, but I can do them for $40 because that's how much my cost is going to be because I don't do it myself.
I know what you're talking about.
And having to send them out, and so they $40 and then shipping and handling. But they don't. I wish I had one downstairs so I can show you, but I don't.
Yeah, you should have brought all of that to the party.
I just got my books here. That's all I can.
Oh yeah, please. Yeah. Come on, show us the book titles, please.
Okay, let's do that. Let me get them out of my box. Because I keep ready always. Always. I need to get it.
Carla Jean, are you telling Coach Josh Smalls that you want a Prince shirt? Is that what you're saying? Coach Josh Smalls.
Yes.
Carla Jean would like a Prince shirt like that.
Okay, hit my DMs and I'll get you straight.
Did you hear that, Carla?
Get
him up in the DM, girl. Get your shirt. Get your shirt.
Get
your how go? Oh no, I can't do Sing Purple Rain. I know. I thought about. I was like, no, I can't sing right because singing is not my thing. It's not my
Singing is
thing.
not my thing. So
You
I'm gonna go
know.
in order of when I created the books. This is my very first book. My Umi's pictures on it.
Okay. Now this is your mother.
That's my mom. Yes.
She's beautiful.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
This is the first poetry book I did. My thoughts. This
Hmm.
was my second one, The Black Light.
Okay.
Right.
That's nice. Okay.
The third book I wrote was for my teenage daughter. She's 21 now.
Hmm.
She was going through a really bad depression, and I didn't know what to do. So what I did was I wrote her love poems and love notes every day, and
Oh,
then
you're the best dad ever.
well,
Beautiful.
I just want love notes from dad.
Mhm.
Very emotional book for me. That book had me still. Every time I read it, I'm still crying. Nothing changes with that. And then this is the book we did for the military. It's called Trigger Warnings.
Wow.
So
Okay.
all the poems in here are
Hmm.
stories from veterans we spoke to,
Hmm.
or they're like I said, I do writing workshops, so we have images that we actually wrote. I kind of led a workshop to do them, and Wits and I
Hmm.
just kept some of the poems and put them in this book. This is
Hmm.
another book that I cry every time I read it
Right.
because I know what went into, what the men had to live through, and
Right.
it's a lot. Um, and so yeah, and so I also have writing journals online too
Okay.
for people who want to write. I have tons of those, so I'm not going to show all of those, but I'll just show a
Okay.
few so people can
Now
see them.
they can order from your website or
So they can order. I don't know what my website is like right now off the top of
okay.
my head,
It's not
but
okay.
all of my stuff is available on Amazon.
Okay.
If you want a journal, I'll say go ahead and buy the journal from Amazon because it's gonna match out to about the same pricing. If you want a book for me, you want me to sign it, you have to send it to me or directly, pay me through Cash App or whatever for that. Or even for me to send it makes it easier if I keep most of my money. And so if you get it directly from me, I keep most of my money. If you get it from them, they take some of the percentage. So
Yes.
any
Yes.
author that's self-published, try to buy their book from the author because
Yes.
they get to keep most of their money. You know what I'm
Yes.
saying? So this is another. I think.
That's pretty.
That was nice. So, and I designed these as well.
Oh, that's
Let me show.
awesome.
There's one more that's real pretty that I want to show. This one here, self love, writing
Hmm.
journal. Is that nice?
That's beautiful. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And
Yes.
and see, these books are the $5.99 and $6.99, and they're for you to write whatever you want to write. And so, the next step I'm going to be doing, I'll give y'all a sneak peek. Don't tell nobody. The next thing I'm going to be doing, I'm going to do a series of writing prompts, and the pricing will include one of these books shipped to you to have a writing journal in.
That is nice.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
And so what I'll do is, and I got tons of them. I'm not gonna sit here and do that all day. We'll be here all night.
Right.
Um, and so what I'll do is, when people pay for the class, um, I'll ship them a book straight from Amazon, and it'll be in the cost of the class. And so
Okay.
I'll ship it to them straight from there. Show up to the Zoom, and in the Zoom we'll go over writing and stuff like that. And then since I started my own publishing company, I'll be looking to put some of those in there.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. So
Yes.
that's what we're working on.
That's called expansion.
That
Enlarge my territory.
if
Yes.
if you're in the same place, you have to always ask yourself why. And then you have to figure out, is this what you want to do
Hmm.
or not? Because if it's what you want to do, you can't do it and not do it. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? You cannot not show up. You have to show up for yourself. If you don't
Hmm.
show up for you, nobody else will.
Exactly.
So yeah.
Exactly. I totally agree with that. Now, please, before you go, can we have one more taste of Coach Josh Smalls? And please leave the audience with some encouraging words.
I can
Please.
do that. So you got two. I'm gonna let you choose from one of these, either
Okay.
21 or George Floyd, whichever one you want.
See, you. Mm, I don't know, Mr. Which are you gonna have me crying before you leave the show?
George Floyd isn't graphic like you think it would be. It's really not.
Okay, and what about
21,
21?
21 isn't graphic either. It's not like that. So,
All right, give me George Floyd.
you, George?
Mm.
All right. In 1861, a demand note with the goddess Liberty was used as currency in this country. By 1862, a very similar note appeared with a $20 value on it. By 1865, a national banknote with the Battle of Lexington appeared with Pocahontas's marriage to John Rolfe in black and green trim had a $20 value in this country. I've read the Federal Reserve spends 5.5 cents to produce a single dollar bill. $2.6 of a cent to create a penny, and a whopping 11.5 cents to produce a single $20 bill. 5 was probably my favorite number until I learned to shoot a 3-point jump shot. And although none of these facts have anything to do with this moment, I just wanted to show you how easy it is to not count to 9. 9 minutes and 29 seconds to be exact. Like being on one's knee and forgetting God gave you knees to remember his grace and to thank him and be grateful for the 4 muscle groups and 3 joints it takes to extend, flex, or keep a knee bone functioning properly. And still, adding those numbers together, I've not reached 9. I've read 9 minutes exercises can slow aging. Tried to Google things to do 9 minutes and less, but Google sometimes always skips to 10 as if 9 isn't worth speaking life or completing a task required for inhaling oxygen. It's understood that breathing doesn't require kneeling, obstructed airways, or rogue policemen pretending balance beams and black men have something in common. Ironically, there are more than 20 muscles in the human neck. I've read it takes 10 seconds to cause consciousness and only 33 pounds to close a trachea. So imagine the entire world, a rainbow of eyes watching another black man clinging to life, knee deep in heavy breathing as America always kept him. Boot heels showing, face against pavement, knee planted perfectly against 22 muscles for a $20 conversation that never happened. Some people would say this was God's plan. As if God's pen forced the rain clouds to find another city because the only life claiming these grounds was Mr. George Floyd losing his. You know, I bet there are millions of songs written with someone's mother in mind. Scores of rhythm that says, I love you and I wish you were here, but none will ever weigh as heavy as the echo of mama against the pavement bouncing from the tires of that patrol car, the vibration that carried beneath a kneecap of a convicted gangster. I call my mother Umi on purpose. It means mother in Arabic. But mama will always remind me of Mr. George Floyd. How his last words will make me homesick and remind me to celebrate every time I call my Umi and she doesn't have to prepare heaven's threshold for me to walk through. Every time my mama rings in my ear, I can see Mr. George Floyd's face. And oftentimes tears find their way to my cheekbone. And I stop. And I take a moment to enjoy everything he was not allowed. Like today, and a smile. 9 minutes and 30 seconds. 31, 32, 33. Yeah.
That was a powerful poem. Or should I say, that was powerful truth. You know,
Yeah.
Yeah, you need to be on tour around the world. I'm like, honey,
Thank you so
you know,
much.
everybody, everywhere, all over the planet needs to hear what you have to say.
I'm gonna share something with y'all because
Okay.
y'all might not have known this. And so I had the honor of performing with the Charlotte Symphony over the last 2 months, and I presented a project to them. And this project, I'm going to do um, everybody from Tamir Rice, from Trayvon Martin, Sandra Bland, George Floyd. I'm doing all of their poems that's already written with the symphony playing music in the background. And so I'm telling you this because I will be traveling with this. I don't write poems to not have a statement, but I don't believe these poems came to me just because. I had no idea I'd be doing something with the symphony. And
Purpose,
yeah,
purpose, purpose.
and
And I'm going to tell you, I know it's purpose. The fact that you almost died, you shouldn't be here.
yeah,
You shouldn't be here.
yeah,
First, with the enemy came after you, trying to give your mom, the glamour over here, or you want. She was like, "Oh, my son,"
right, right, right,
and then here come the two dudes with the guns.
yeah,
Purpose. Oh, honey, there's no mistake that you was left here. You was left here on and with
yeah.
purpose and powerful purpose at that. It's just walk in that authority.
You know, you going. I always tell people I don't. I don't get into people's belief systems. I don't knock people for whatever they believe. Whatever belief system you have, whether it's
Mm-hmm.
God, Messiah, whatever deity it is, science, whatever it is, there's a spark in that initiated your life,
Yes.
and that was not an accident.
Come on.
Even if you think, oh, mom and dad slipped up, it was not an accident. There's muddy water that actually made a seed turn to a human being.
Come on now.
I don't care what belief system you have, that is a miracle.
Yes.
And in that miracle, you became life. You became something. You know how tender an embryo is?
Wait a minute. And not only that, for anybody out there that thinks that you're weak, you're not. You were the one that made it.
You're the one that made it.
Like all of the rest of them didn't make it,
You made it.
but you did. That's strength and power and purpose.
So you can't tell me that walk around saying I ain't nothing but a nigga works. Because you can't be nothing. You have to be more than that because you already made it.
Yes.
You know what I
Yes.
mean? That's just facts.
Period.
You wasn't a wet dream.
Nope.
You know what I mean? You wasn't a splash on the back. You wasn't
Come
cleaned up
on.
with the sheet and then with
Come
wash
on.
over. You wasn't.
Come
You
on.
know? You
Yeah.
wasn't that. Oh man, ain't nobody here. Let me go. You wasn't that.
Come on.
You missed that moment. You know what I mean?
Yes. It's like just take a look inside.
Yeah.
I always when I talk to people one on one, I'm like, do the mirror test. I call it the God test, the mirror test. Go look in the mirror in your own eyes.
Yeah.
You'll see exactly who you are and what you're made of. And when you first go, because you're gonna have the thoughts of who people said you were. Get past that.
Yeah.
Stay looking in the mirror and go past that.
Yeah.
And you'll really see
Yeah.
you're the person, the pretty much the God in the earth God created you to be. He gave you his spirit, his attributes, his power,
Mm-hmm.
his love,
Yeah. Yeah.
his strength. Is so much more to us. So much. I'm like, please go take a look.
I used to worry so much about what others thought and what they saw. And I had to learn a lot of depression transfers down from the parents, of course. It's generational, right? And then where the way the society we live in is so materialistic that instantly you didn't get a new pair of shoes and somebody else got them, you already like, damn. Because your mindset is on the material, the outer experience. If you don't see the inner, and again, let's go back to what your belief system is, right? Whatever it is, even science, it was an inner thing. So you're putting your deity on the outside. You're externalizing everything that you are.
Come on.
And expect to, oh, I can pray to that external because it's not in me. You forgot what's the spark inside. Once you forget that, I don't care what you pray for. It's done. It ain't going nowhere because you forgot to acknowledge what was already there.
Yes.
From the time you was swimming in an unforeseeable, without a microscope, you couldn't even see what you was.
Come on. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So yes. Well, Coach Joshua, this has been so wonderful. Oh my goodness.
Thank you for having me. Like, this has been great for me too. So thank you so much for having the invite. When you told me about it, I was okay, cool. I need to mark it on my calendar because if I don't, I forget. And yeah, I was excited. You see, I was hitting you. I'm ready. When you're ready, I'm here. I don't like being late. If I'm late, I'm upset. I don't like being late.
I know. I don't like being late either. So I'm just glad we was right on time. I was like, oh, he's here. Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's go. So thank you again. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been a taste of Lavina, Poetic, Empress, coming at you with none other, the one and only Coach Ja Smalls. If you haven't checked him out and if you don't follow him, please do. He got so much to say, so much truth to give, and it's all coming from the heart, baby. Mwah. We love you guys. Thank you, Mr. Washington. He said a great show. We appreciate you tuning in.
Yeah. I've been on his show several times too. Twice.
On Poetry.
Yeah. I got to go screen record those because them, oh my gosh. Yeah. And it was during the pandemic, so I was doing a lot of writing then, you know.
That's what's up. But this has been super fantastic.
Indeed. I agree. It was great. I appreciate you so much.
You're very welcome. And we will see you again.
All right.
Thank you. You can hit the X button so I don't lose my show.
All right. Peace and love, y'all.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining me tonight. I will see you next Tuesday evening at 10 p.m. You guys have a super fantastic night. Mwah.